everybody. This is uh this is Pocatello Paranormal. And I'm like sick and Susie's sick and we're all sick, but it's okay.
Oh
We're
no.
here and I know it's like crazy. Oh, Susie, you're muted just so you know. Um sorry. Ah, gosh. Okay, so I'm Colleen and I'm here with my favorite peeps. I've got McKenna and
Hello.
Celeste and Susie, and we're here
Hi.
for our paranormal live show tonight. And we'll all try to get through this. Sick or not, we're going to do this, darn it.
Yes,
So,
yes, for sure.
yeah. And
Had some
I know David
technical difficulties here. Like finally I can like hear you guys.
David just said hi, you bunch of sickos, and I get it. Yeah, we're totally. It's like it just never stops. um. Anyway, we're happy to be here, and I know that McKenna, you're changing up our topics tonight.
Yes, I feel like we've
Yes.
covered like the Appalachias for so long. Well basically since like I started.
Right.
So it's a whole new topic, new discussions. Um, so I decided to call it Swipe Right if 9 feet or taller. Uh,
That's your dating profile?
I love it. I love that. Okay.
I just pretend, I gotta pretend because happily married.
I
So
know, I'm
I
just
can.
teasing.
I'm on cryptid Tinder,
Mm.
Oh man, it might be
Sasquatch
better
or
on the
over
than
here.
the apps that I'm on right now. So yeah, that's cool.
Um, yeah, so basically, we're going to be covering some cryptid stories, Sasquatch, the Yeti, very similar creatures, not just like in the US, like with our Appalachia topic, it was very regional. There was a whole lot of macabre and paranormal, like in this region. Like, granted, it's a very large region, uh, but what's interesting and kind of different about like this next series we're going to be going into is it can be and is international. So we'll cover like Sasquatch, the Yeti. There was actually a comment from Mad Max like a couple of weeks ago about like a Sasquatch type creature that's like a northern creature. Thank you, Jess. You rock. And we're also going to be covering a few different stories and legends of giants.
Nice.
Like here, there's stories of giants here in the United States, in Canada, like South America, Egypt, and then there's also similarities description wise, physically. And then you also kind of see that in different religions. Like you hear about like redheaded giants in like the Bible, and then you kind of hear very, very similar lore kind of across the board. So we're going to go a little bit more into that. And if anyone has any topics that they'd like to hear about, any specific topics, totally put it in the comments. I will make sure it's on my list for some research, but I've got a pretty good list started so far. Um, but we're going to start with a topic that I've loved for a really, really long time. I've grown up kind of hearing about this legend and the Native American people associated with it. Like I was born and raised in Utah, and so I'm like very familiar with the landscape here, the Native American peoples here, and like the culture and all of that. So we're gonna focus in specifically on the Paiutes, and then we're gonna cover the Sitka. So they're the
Oh,
red,
cool.
yeah, they're the red-headed giants of basically like southern Utah, southern Nevada, very similar kind of regions where like the northern Paiutes also lived and thrived. So it's a very, very fun topic. But our first one in this series is about these giant people. So I really hope I don't like butcher any of the pronunciations, but as far as I have heard, it's pronounced Sitka. So in the Paiute like oral history, the Sitka or uh, Site, like Site, SAI''T, Site, are a legendary tribe of red-haired cannibalistic giants. And so they essentially like warred with the Paiute people for hundreds of years. And this would have been like, we're gonna kind of reference like some actual people that the stories had been passed down, and like there was like this woman that we're going to talk about a little bit later. She wrote a book and she like mentions these stories in this book. But they were like told to have been 8 to 10 feet tall. And they had arrived from a distant island. And so, which is interesting, you know, when you think about it. And of course, the landscape was different hundreds of years ago in like southern Nevada, southern Utah. But considering how far inland it is, at least now, these creatures coming from a distant island and like settling in the desert is very, very interesting. And it may have been because of the larger amounts of the indigenous people of the Paiute tribes that were in this area. And there was a lot of like they're considered and called like the Paiute now, and like the main branch of the Paiutes. Right, yeah, Mad Max. And you know, I did think about making a joke, but I can't. You never know if it's like gonna be offensive.
I resent that remark. I was born a ginger.
Well, the last name kind of gives it away. My mom's actually a redhead. You'd never know, but red hair, blue eyes. So that makes me like basically a whole white. It's a bad joke. So essentially, these red-headed giants, they were said to have had spears but no arrows. The Paiutes really described them as like their differences. You know, their stark black and white opposites. So they would say that the giants had spears but no arrows, but the Paiutes used arrows but no spears. And so could have been literal, or it could have been like a sort of a metaphor for just how opposite they were, how distinct enemies they were, black and white. You know, because they do, like, a lot of times when lore is passed down, they tend to kind of make these references. Can't think of the right word, but it's essentially like wordplay, you know. So the northern Paiute, they said that these creatures were mean, contemptible, foolish, degraded cannibals. That's how they described them. They had red hair, which they were excessively fond of, which they decorated with bone ornaments, and yet were so poor that they dressed in robes made of the skin and feathers of the mud hen. So they were not very clothed. I haven't found like a reference on like the type of like skin they had. I assume since it wasn't particularly like mentioned that they would have been a similar skin tone to the Paiute people if they were an island dwelling people or a desert dwelling people. You tend to have a tan because you have all of that sun exposure. It's a dry climate, especially in southern Nevada. Like, you know, you crack an egg on the hood of your car and it sizzles like in 105-degree weather.
I haven't met a redhead yet that tans though.
Right? Yeah, no, the freckles just kind of spread.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. It's like camouflage, essentially.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So basically, these creatures, they were described across the board in this culture as being extremely violent. They would perform raids essentially and carry off women and children, people that couldn't fight back, the sick, the elderly, back to their main tribe and consume these people. So they were said to be cannibalistic, whether or not the Setica were like actually human or they were like a completely other race. It doesn't clarify, but they were humanoid, and so the Paiutes did refer to them as cannibalistic. So as the Paiute tale goes, after years and years of this warfare where they are being hunted essentially and fighting back as best they can by these creatures that are twice their size, so much stronger than them, although their numbers were fewer than the Paiute people, thank goodness. The tribes in the area, the Paiutes and the surrounding other smaller tribes, joined together. They formed a posse per se.
I heard
Yes.
this too, David.
Yep, I've heard this one as well. So this, yeah, I watched a story on this one today. So this is one of the more recent accountings for sure of red-headed giants that are cannibalistic. This special, it was like a special forces squadron that had gone into the mountains of Afghanistan and were fell upon by these red-headed giants, and this man, this team watched their companions like essentially be consumed, which if you can imagine, is horrific. But yeah, that is like as far as I have found so far the most recent accounting of like red-headed giants. Which, if this particular group of them had come from an island, that it doesn't specify whether they were the only ones of their kind, and more than likely they weren't, because there's accountings of giants all across the world and similar redheaded specifically giants. But like, so during the Paiute times, this tribe, this particular one, they banded together because they were gonna take these guys out. They were sick of the raids. They were sick of being targeted, cannibalized, and they pushed the giants to like their home essentially. They lived in a cave. It's what's now Lovelock Cave in Nevada, as far as the estimation.
What? I've been there. I've been to the
You've been
Lovelock
there.
Cave.
Okay. So have you seen like, so when it was initially like discovered by like modern type people, I believe it was a couple of miners, guano miners, they found a giant corpse. They found a ton of like indigenous pottery, weapons, like all kinds of stuff. Did you get to see any of that?
I
Probably
never
not the
saw any.
corpse.
I never saw any of that, but I have been to the cave. I just remember it being full of rattlesnakes when I went into the caves system,
Ooh,
like full
ooh,
of
yikes.
rattlesnakes. Yeah, it was freaky.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't get to see any of that. Do they have it displayed somewhere, like the pottery and all that?
So I'm not sure if they have, it's probably taken else and displayed somewhere else, whichever is like the nearest town. They have like all of the artifacts displayed there.
Okay.
But at Lovelock Cave essentially is like basically where the Sitka was staying. That was their home, that was their shelter. And the Paiute people and the other tribes had chased them back to their cave. They were able to communicate like in a way, like they did understand each other. And the Paiute people, their leader, who had like organized this posse, essentially, had yelled to them and told them to come out and fight. Like, this is it. Like, no more hiding. Like, it's time to die. And they refused, and they stayed holed up in their cave. They were very, very deep into this cave. And so what the warriors did is they brought in wood, they built up a ton of wood, and they built this huge fire at the mouth of this cave. And apparently you can still see like scorch marks and smoke marks at the mouth of the cave and inside the cave. But they lit this huge fire that pushed the giants to the farthest end of the cave where they could reach, and they suffocated. So it took all the oxygen out of the cave. They suffocated, and they were all there. Their women, their children, all of them. The entire tribe was inside of this cave, and they were wiped out. So I mean, they weren't eating people anymore after that. So I get it. I would do it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So they also, they were shooting arrows like after they started this fire to like keep them inside the cave. So like if any tried to escape, they were shot down with arrows. But after they were burned alive, suffocated, they all were dead. They left, and over time, the entrance of the cave had collapsed, where like only rodents. There were small like accesses. Rodents could get in, bats, but it was completely cut off from human contact until it was rediscovered by the guano miners. So,
Okay.
right, and so it was
Yeah.
hundreds of years essentially.
That actually makes sense, but I'm trying to figure out guano miners. I mean, were they mining that for a fuel source?
That's an
Because
excellent question. I am not
that's weird to
sure.
me. Like, I don't know why you would mine guano, and it's
For
really
sure.
toxic. Like, it's super toxic because it's bat guano. We're talking about bat
Yeah.
feces, right? And it's super duper toxic. So you got to be
Yes.
really careful around it because it's an inhalate. It'll cause your body
Yep.
to react to it. Yeah.
So it was rediscovered in 1911, which, in kind of past discussions we'd had, whether that's about like Appalachias or we've been discussing like a disaster of some sort. They didn't have OSHA back then. They they didn't. They
Yep.
were like, these guys were like, there was some money to be made from some bat poop, and so they were going to get it. But these guano miners that had gone in there had found artifacts, tons of archaeological artifacts. And then also they did find a mummified corpse. So I actually do have a picture of it up here. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll grab it. Oh, well, it's kind of stuck in with pins, but it has a couple of the men that found it, and the corpse is almost twice the size of these men. They said that the corpse was 6 feet 6 inches tall, which, there are people that tall nowadays, and people were significantly shorter back then as well. Like if you go in and find like the historical buildings that have been preserved, like the doorways are all like for people like around my height, around that 5 foot mark. But the Paiutes said that the people were closer to 8 to 10 feet tall, or as adults, so once they reached maturity. So that
I will
corpse.
share an image, McKenna. I found
Oh,
one I can
yes.
share real quick. I think
Yes.
this is the right one.
Yeah, so it has two
Uh,
men and then the mummified corpse in the center. And the
yeah,
corpse appears to be female, which may be why it's smaller. Right, yeah, so this is that same one that I actually have behind me. So these are two of the men that were part of the discovery, part of like the later expedition. And this is the actual corpse of the Sitka, or what is assumed and presumed to be the Sitka. It does appear to be female, so that could be a reason why it was shorter than what the Paiutes had stated. Because generally, in most cases, except for in some animals, women are generally considered shorter than men, or like female gendered. But yeah, so you can kind of see that stark difference, but that is what they found in this cave along with all of these artifacts.
Hmm.
So let's see. So there
What about
was
the giant race, McKenna? Sorry, but I mean,
no, please.
throughout history, there was the Nephilim, right? And wasn't the Nephilim the giant? They were the giant wolf, like the species of wolf that were that's correct, right? Am I correct with that? The
So
Nephilim,
there's been a
the
lot of
dogmen.
theories. Yes and yes. So any sort of giant or giant or human animal hybrid are considered Nephilim. So Nephilim is actually a biblical term for when fallen angels had come to earth and mated with humans. And the offspring that came from that union were the Nephilim. And most of the
Well, then
times
I have it
they,
wrong. Wasn't
well,
there a
a lot of people do associate the red-headed giants and hybrid creatures or giant creatures with the Nephilim
okay.
because it was said that, you know, giants were produced. It does specifically say that in the Bible, but it's also implied in other areas and in a lot of lore and people who research these stories that like chimeras, like these half human, half animals, or these giant type animals or shapeshifters are also considered Nephilim.
Okay.
They specifically reference giants for sure, but there is a lot of theories that it's basically these fallen angel human hybrids, and they can be anything, fallen angel or demon or kind of whatever language you'd like to use. They generally say fallen angel in the Bible. So
Okay.
yeah, so you're not
Okay.
wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
Well,
It's
yeah, I was
just kind
thinking
of,
of the giant dog creatures that were used as almost slaves
oh
back in the
yeah,
was it the Roman Empire? I can't remember. But Egyptian they were huge. They were huge and
yeah.
yeah.
And that's an interesting topic, and we can absolutely cover that in a later episode. Um, as far as being like the giant dog, men dog people, human
Mhm.
hybrids, because it also kind of covers that in like as far as like with ancient Rome, you hear about it like in the Persian War, like Ramses, or not Ramses, it's Xerxes. Xerxes, like the god king, having these creatures. Yes, also known for mating with animals as well. Yes. So David just made a really good point. Yeah, so these, oh, go ahead.
No, I think it's really fascinating that you have tribal people who have
Hmm.
never been exposed to Christianity, right?
Hmm.
I'm assuming at this point, maybe
Right.
they have, but who knows?
Well,
But
this
not been
was
exposed.
so the person that I'm going to talk about a little bit is Sarah Winnemucca Hopkins. Hopkins is her married name, but Chief Winnemucca, who's very well known, it's his daughter, and she was
Okay.
born in 1844. And by the time she had heard this story as a child, they had said it was hundreds of years old. So this was prior to like the colonial age, even that this had
Okay.
all happened. So it really it should be without biblical influence, without Western influence or Eastern influence, I guess,
Right.
depending on which way you want to go.
Yeah.
European.
Mhm.
um, so what I really like is there's a few things I really, really like about Sarah. Um, and as far as I've been able to find, like her father, like named her Sarah. Like, like she is 100% Paiute. Her dad is a Paiute chieftain, but her name is Sarah Winnemucca. Um, and she wrote a book. She was very, very influential, very strong woman. Um, but she wrote a book in 1883 about what she described as a small tribe of barbarians who ate her people in her book, Life Among the Paiutes. Uh, she wrote that after my people had killed them all, the people round us called us Se Do Kara, which means conqueror. And she also states that the tribe that they had exterminated had reddish hair. I have some of their hair, which has been handed down from father to son. I have a dress which has been in our family a great many years, trimmed with the reddish hair. I am going to wear it sometime when I lecture. It is called a mourning dress, MOUR. So, for a funeral,
Mm.
anytime you're mourning a loss. Um, and no one has such a dress but my family. So I do have a picture of her back here as well in her morning dress. Um, and I couldn't, like, you know, there was photography back then, but I couldn't find any picture of like the dress in like modern age. It does. I have found nothing about where it is. I would assume that something along the lines of like the Smithsonian has it, and the Smithsonian uh, has a whole history about keeping Native American artifacts. Um, so there were laws passed within the past 100 years that said all Native American artifacts that were collected by people, museums, whatever, had to be returned, which rightfully so, they need to be returned back to their people. But there is a small clause in this law saying that the Smithsonian did not have to return any artifacts, which, the Smithsonian was started by the United States government. Yeah. So this is Sarah. Yep, and that's that same picture that I have up here. And she was brilliant. She was an advocate for her people, for the rights of Native Americans. Unfortunately, she didn't live like a super long life. She was born in 1844 and she passed away in 1891. But she was an amazing woman. Yeah.
Wait a
And it's
minute,
interesting.
1844 to when?
To 1891.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Well, it was a hard life. It's a hard
It
life.
was. It was. And,
know.
Really, a lot of people in this age and well before it did die in infancy and in childhood. There was polio and tuberculosis and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, for this time, I guess it was a long life. But, I mean, you can imagine with the knowledge that she shared and the advocacy that she performed when she was alive, what else she could have accomplished if she had had 10 more years, 20 more years.
Right.
So she's very interesting, very, very cool person. I encourage people to read about her, just about her life in general, if you are interested. But let's see. So as far as accounts go, they say like they kind of like have different accounts about when this initial battle had taken place. Some people say like several hundred years ago, and some say more specifically like 4 to 5 generations ago, which it would have been like a couple hundred. Yeah, she would have been a wealth of knowledge. So David, she does have a book. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it's called Life Among the Paiutes, Their Wrongs and Claims. And it talks a lot about what happened to the Paiute people and like their history. And she just tries to like recover like lost knowledge, talk about what had happened to them and how they were attempting to recover from it because they were oppressed like most indigenous peoples in the United States during colonization. So but she was a really cool person. Absolutely recommend learning more about her if you are interested. But yeah, as far as the redheaded giants, it is a very interesting story, and I do look forward to like covering more into specifically ones that I think may be related to these ones, and then also completely different cultures, types, but also we're gonna kind of go into like the Sasquatch and like stuff like that. I do plan on doing like a comparative, like little tie into Appalachia between Appalachian Sasquatch or like different types of creatures like there and Rocky Mountain. So the two big U.S. mountain ranges. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Very cool. Thank you for switching up the topic too. This was really neat. I enjoyed this one and well, not that I haven't enjoyed the rest, but um this was really interesting because I've read about this but a little bit, tiny bit, and then I bought Dave Polide's book on all of the giants and the Bigfoots, and it's just newspaper accounts, right? It's
Yeah.
just what was in the newspapers throughout all over the world, basically, and
Mm-hmm.
photocopies. And so this is fascinating, and I had no idea that I had no idea I've been there to that cave. That's just craziness to me. Yeah.
Right? I would love to go. I'm like so jealous that you went, but Like
Well,
now,
yeah,
like there's a
the
whole
rattlesnakes
history.
though. Yeah, the rattlesnakes are just because it was
Yeah,
meant,
go in
it's
winter.
summertime and you go and they're looking to get out of that sun because they're baking and yeah, I
Yep.
put my hand down on a rock in the cave and there was a huge
Ooh.
like boulder still in part of the cave, right at the mouth of the cave, and I get inside and I have my headlamp, but I put my hand on a rock to steady myself, and I heard the buzz, Zzz, and I yeah, I'm looking down at my feet, not thinking they were all on that boulder. And so I snatch my hand back and I look over and it's just lousy with rattlesnakes everywhere you looked. It was, ugh.
Ah,
So it was crazy.
ah.
All right. Well,
Hi,
we are going to
Gina.
start our readings at 7:30, and the first reading is for Caitlin, and she would like a reading about whether she should continue in her career or try something new. Susie or Gina?
The first thing the first thing that I get is whenever we're prompted to maybe make a change, there's a reason that we're getting prompted. And it could be
Oh,
I say it's a good to explore it. There's going to be a Am I not working again?
no, it's working. I'm going to bring it
Am I
up so I
working?
can hear you a
Hello?
little better. Go ahead.
Oh,
Now it's not working. Hold on. I can't. This is ridiculous one. Hold on, Celeste. Okay.
I had cards popping out in the meantime. If you want me to talk on those until you get it fixed.
Let's try Celeste one more time.
Okay. Awesome.
Go ahead, Celeste. Let's try it. And then if it doesn't work, we'll go to Gina. I mean, Susie. No, I can't. We don't have you. We don't have you. I don't hear you at all, Celeste. So go ahead, Susie.
Okay, sorry. I agree with Celeste what she was saying. If you're feeling pushed to go to a new direction, definitely listen to that intuition. The cards that popped out were Ace of Pentacles, Six of Cups, and Five of Swords, and on the bottom was Six of Swords. The Ace of Pentacles is a new direction. Six of Cups is kind of like your soul's true purpose, and that you're not feeling pretty dissatisfied where you're at. So if you do choose to go in a new direction, it's always going to be for your highest good. You always have something to learn there, and I think you'll be in a good place. You'll feel more comfortable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Susie. And hopefully Celeste will be back here in a minute. I think she needs to get a new phone. I think her phone technology is just a little too old to stream constantly, and that's why we have fits with her stuff. Okay, so Mad Max is up. May I have one for health?
Just one.
Haha.
Looks like you need to make some health changes. You've got some concerns there, dear Mad Max, about some old habits that you've had. It says any change, whether it's now or later, is always for the better, and it'll do you some good.
Okay. Yeah, and Celeste, David said that you need to start signing. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
my
I think
energy.
well, I
Yeah,
think it's your
my
phone
energy.
too. Your phone is an older model, and I think sometimes it has a hard time streaming. It's probably having a hard time. Its hamster wheels are getting kind of old. So
Well, but
yeah.
I couldn't get your iPad to work, and my laptop doesn't work either. So I'm not
Well, it is
100% sure it's the
yeah,
devices as
you
much.
you do that. That's you
Yeah.
do that. So okay, so Sherry, I don't think I've missed anybody. If I've missed you, please let us know in chat. Sherry is asking Celeste if you want to take this one for a reading. Does anyone see anything about my boss's wife health issue?
I am feeling something chest area, whether that's lungs, heart, breasts. potentially that needs to be addressed. But I do feel, I don't necessarily say, heart disease, cancer, anything labeled, but there is something going on that probably should be looked into.
Thank you, Celeste. And Susie, Caitlin said thank you. It fits. So you girls are always right on the money. It always is amazing.
Yeah.
Lily would
Mhm.
like a reading about whether or not I'll be successful in my pursuit to become a special effects makeup artist. Oh my God. That is so cool. That is so cool.
I have found in life, when we can find something we're truly passionate about, we make our way, we make our
Yeah.
success. And so believe in yourself and go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. If you stumble or you hit some branches in your path, step over them, go around them, whatever you need to do. But if you have that passion, that would be something you really want to act on.
There is a gentleman here from Blackfoot who won those, those competitions they have, those for special effects. He's won it a couple of times. He's really phenomenal.
Yeah, she does
Yeah.
really, really cool like FX type makeup. She has a TikTok, and she has like a whole portfolio. Like I'm trying
Lily,
to
you need to share your TikTok page in the chat, please, so that we can go
Yes.
stalk you, please.
She's seriously so good. I've been trying to get her up here to do the haunted hotel, or at least to teach some people how to do it because she's so good.
Ah, that's awesome. That's very cool. And yeah, I agree with Celeste. Did you have anything on that one, Susie, as well?
Well, it's also you define your own success. You don't measure it by the world or anyone else. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. As long as it makes you happy, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Because you could do a job that makes you a ton of money and you're miserable and the money won't matter.
Yeah. It's really cool to do something like that. Find your passion. I had wanted to train horses. That's all I ever wanted to do. And I did it for many, many, many moons. And then I got hurt. I couldn't continue on. But now I just have lawn ornaments and they still make me happy. So yeah. And I got my new donkey to everybody so yes. And I'll have to post a picture. I'll have to upload it for next week's episode. He's very cool. Let's see. Any other questions? We don't have questions coming in, folks. We've got 20 minutes left. So yeah, come on. Don't be shy. Step up to the plate. I know some of you are lurking out there and you're not asking. Yeah,
Well, and
so
sometimes I was just going to say, sometimes people don't want the whole world to hear, and that would
sure.
be a perfect reason to get a hold of me or Susie to do a
Yes.
more personal, because a lot of information can come out that you may not want the whole world to hear about. So,
Oh yeah. We keep this on the pretty 60,000 foot level here because we don't want people to, you want a very detailed reading when you talk to these ladies. You don't want it for the world. Okay, David wants a random.
Random for David.
A random for David.
Well, let me pull out the unicorns and sunshine.
there you go.
Four of wands, page of cups, and the moon. Interesting. The six of pentacles.
Ooh.
So even though you keep doing your whole self-doubt, am I on the right path? Crap, knock it off. You're on the right crap and route. Yeah, over and over, David. Same thing. Good job. Universe is happy. Keep going.
Cool.
I pulled a random for someone out there in the audience, and they have a change coming up in the marriage that they're in. It looks like a new young addition will be joining them. I don't know who that is, but it just popped out. So whether they're adopting a young child, because I've got the justice card here, but it's going to be successful.
Wow. That's very cool. Okay, and then we are on Regina. She would like anything new for her. Celeste, do you want to take that one?
What I feel like is that maybe there's some hesitation that you're feeling of going towards something that's kind of been calling to you, whether that's a change of career, a change of just life circumstances. It is definitely something that you maybe want to invest a little more time and research into and let go of like all the worries. Right now, life is a little chaotic and nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I feel like whatever it is that you've kind of been thinking about changing in your life, this might be a really good time to invest a little more energy into that.
That's great. Thank you, Celeste. We're on Sherry again, and she wants to know anything regarding whether or not we should buy a travel trailer or just wait and buy a house.
Well, I pulled some cards for it. One side is the King of Swords, and the other is the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles was your travel trailer, and that's more of a temporary thing that will go by the wayside. Whereas a house, if you wait and save up, you can get what you really want and be very discerning about it, and it's not going to depreciate in value like a trailer would.
I
Yeah,
always
my
say that.
practical.
Yeah, buy practical, and you never go wrong with property, even though like this place is a money pit. You never go wrong with property because even though I've sunk a ton of money in it, it's so much worth so much more than what I've put into it already that you're not going to go wrong with buying a house, Sherry. It's just not. That's your best bet. You can rent travel trailers, you can borrow travel trailers because almost everybody I know who's bought a travel trailer, they use it maybe 4 times a year, maybe. And then it sits there
And you
and you
have
got all
to,
the maintenance and
yeah,
the
you have to
upkeep
insure them
and
and
insurance, and
maintain
then
them.
yeah, borrow a travel trailer, buy a house. I mean, that
I
would be
lived in a travel trailer for 3 years, Sherry. It's not that comfortable. They're not made for living in. They don't hold up as long and they just depreciate like crazy. So I would always hedge your best bet on something stable and permanent and that you could sell and it would only go up in value, like Colleen said.
yeah. Yeah, that would be yeah. And I saw the picture of David's calf, and it is really, really cute. So, David, next week you're going to have to. I can stalk your social media and download a picture, and we can share it next week. So we'll share a picture of your calf and my new donkey. So, Lizette would like a random. Celeste, do you want to take a random?
Which Lizette is this? Is this
V.
to
V.
okay? I'm feeling like it feels like it's work related, but it may be home related, but a little bit of shifting energies and concerns that you might be feeling toward this. I think this is one of the things where you maybe need to ride the wave for a little bit, but I feel like there's something shifting and changing and you're like feeling a little unstable if the ground's going to fall out from under you. I don't think it is. I think you need to just hold on and ride it out. I don't know if that is oh. Oh, this is a different one. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I would say write it out. Don't jump in and make any rash decisions.
That's good. That's good. So did you have anything else on that, Susie, or do you working on Patricia? Okay.
No, I'm not. I was going to let Celeste take Patricia too.
Okay.
All right. I feel like this is probably someone who is family. I don't know if you might, I don't know if it feels like a male energy to you. I'm picking up more of a strong, dominant male figure. I'm a pretty strong figure, so sometimes I feel more masculine than feminine, but possibly like a grandfather, uncle type thing. And just, I don't know if you had somebody that was very into springtime and gardening and pruning the trees or taking care of the outside, but I kind of feel like possibly it would be a person like that, just encouraging you to make sure you're getting outside, getting some sunshine. Our weather has been schizo lately in the state of Idaho, and you need to take advantage of those sunshine moments. But I'm feeling like it's an older male energy that's coming through.
Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, it has been schizo lately. Yesterday we had like an inch of, what was that? Was it hail? It wasn't hail. It was like popcorn
Hail,
snow or something.
snow. It
It was
was like, yeah, it was
thundersnowing
in
here.
between.
Yeah, it was like it started thundering and we're getting hail and snow and yeah. Pat said that my dad was a garden person. So there you go.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
probably who it is. Ooh, I just got chills. I bet that's exactly who that is.
Yeah. That's very cool. Let's see. I don't think I've missed anybody. Go ahead and throw your questions out there. And I'm going back up through the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, David's calf is named Marlin. Marlin
Oh,
Jr. Oh.
Oh,
I can't wait. We'll show the picture. Tried to post Lily said try to post in YouTube, but my TikTok is at Lily Denise. Okay. I'm gonna stalk you right now, Lily, because I think that's very cool. And Lily, yeah, I want to keep up with your stuff. Lily Denise.
yeah. If you've ever
Yeah.
been to Fear Factory, like in Salt Lake, like she
Yeah.
worked there for a season, or at least one season, maybe more than one, but that is like she's seriously in all of her free time, she is working on it. She is so good. She gets all professional stuff. It is mind blowing what she can do.
Okay, girl, I just followed you, so that's really cool. So
Uh,
we're gonna have stalkers now on your TikTok. Yeah.
well, so also just quick tiny story tangent. A picture had been sent to my husband from Lily's dad, and he sent it to me, and he's a safety guy, so he sends me like random like workplace accidents on like social, and like, you know, I think he's hurt, and like it was like a cut. He had sent me a picture of like a hand that was like gouged, and I was like, oh my god, like what happened? And like it was Lily had done this makeup and like sent it to him, and he sent it to me as if he had a major
Oh,
accident.
oh
Like it looked
shoot.
so real. It was ugh. I was like freaking out. I was like trying to call him and he wouldn't answer the phone.
Oh God. Yeah,
Rude.
God. That's just terrible. That's so rude.
So
Okay.
rude.
All right. Trista would like to know if anything that comes to you amazing ladies.
are you ready, Susie, or you want me to
Mhm.
keep going?
No, I can
You
I
are
can
ready?
touch on this one a little bit. Yeah. There's something that
All
you've
right.
been wishing and hoping for, Trista. You've kind of had this plan in your head that you haven't really talked about. You've kind of kept it a little bit to yourself, something that you like really desire. Well, the universe says that it's bringing it in towards you. You've got the Judgment card and the King of Swords, so it's going to come in pretty quick. You're going to get a message about it. So I don't know what that is, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that is cool.
Hmm.
Especially when it's something you've been thinking of and dreaming of and wanting, and it's like, and all of a sudden it starts, the manifestation is there, and that is so cool. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
cool.
Definitely. I had a thought that came through for Lily. Have you looked at the theatrical route, like working with some of the theaters, doing the makeup and designing, like the helping with the costumes and different things like that? I do plays, and I learned when I was young how to do some of the makeup and stuff like that. And that is a really great avenue to get your get your name out there, because a
Mhm.
lot of people pay attention, especially if you get into some of the bigger theaters like in Salt Lake City, or I
Mhm.
don't know where you're located at, but that's another, not just around Halloween time, kind of place to get your toes in the water.
Yeah, you bet. And it's really cool that you're doing this, and maybe research Lily. I don't know the name of the gentleman, but he won that Face Off, I think it's called. I think twice. And he's from Blackfoot, Idaho. And maybe contact him because he seems to be, from what I understand, he's really, really nice. And he's very helpful. And he would probably talk with you, especially being in the same kind of general area. Um, and then I think we also had, that Forged in Fire, that like show. We had
Hmm.
someone I think from Blackfoot won that too. There's a lot of talent up here. That's crazy. Yeah.
What's in
Um,
the water in Blackfoot? That's what I
I
want to
don't
know.
know. I thought it was just cow manure, but
Well, and a
apparently I
lot
was
of it was
wrong.
like really sci-fi horror kind of stuff too, so
Yeah, yeah. Especially in this area because it's pretty pretty religious around here, so you wouldn't think that, I mean, not that religion is wrong bad or anything, but I'm saying you don't think of horror and goth and all that kind of stuff being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
there's
cool.
also like a huge paranormal community out there. Like I had gotten
Yeah.
a message from a friend of mine from Grace that I hadn't like spoken to in probably years. And he's like, I had no idea you were into paranormal stuff. Like it was crazy.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, people keep it. And speaking of, until we get another question in, I don't think I'm missing anybody, but we have a yes. Thank you, Mud Lover. Remember to hit the like button. Please send like thumbs up and hearts and emojis and comments and subscribe because it's very helpful to our stream. It gets us pushed out to more places when we stream. So, but um, we do have a paranormal investigation coming up on Sunday, and we are at the Delita skating rink for all of you in this area who know. Delita is on Yellowstone, and it has a pretty interesting past that I didn't know about. And Celeste, you said it was moved here, or did Andy find that out?
I didn't get that, but I just knew they used to have big band concerts and they danced in there. My parents were part of it. They had a whole band pit area kind of thing off to one end. And even when you went skating, that was still in there when I was a kid, which would have been in the 70s. So it's got quite a history, but it's been around for quite a while too.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I think that Andy, and he's on our paranormal team. He looked it up and said it was moved here from like Boise or something, like a portion
Oh,
of the
wow.
building or the whole building or something. Like it was moved a great distance to be here. I I read that. I'm like, really? That's crazy that you would move something, but who knows? You could have put it on a train, cut it in half, put it on a train, brought it over here, and put it back together. They do stuff like that all the time. But
My
yeah,
father built our house in Rockland and they moved it to American Falls on the back of semis. So
see.
that was and American Falls, where Susie lives, they moved the whole city from down by the river up to higher ground and then created the dam and made it a reservoir. So that wasn't an unusual thing to move
No,
giant
it wasn't.
structures.
I
Yeah.
was looking into some of the history and they actually moved it twice. And I
Yeah.
listened to this guy comment that once they moved his parents' house and they set it down, but they set it down backwards, so their back door was now their front door, but they didn't want to turn it back around again.
Oh, no, no. Yeah, that's, and Trista just said they moved American Falls twice, come to find
Mhm.
out. Yeah, that's interesting. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's not uncommon. Anytime you have dams, built, usually there's a town flooded underneath it. And
Yeah.
that's happened. And it's really eerie. Like when you go, Folsom Dam has a town under it in Folsom, California, in Folsom. And then this one has the town. And when you get these really severe droughts, these buildings will pop out. And it's freakiness,
Yeah.
man, because it just Shasta was almost empty about 5 years ago, and there's a town under there. There's an old mine under there. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's yeah. Yeah. And anybody else got
Yeah.
any more
And little,
questions? We're on for another 4 minutes, and then we'll be signing off for the night. But yeah, Delita. So Delita is Sunday, and we're looking forward to it. We'll be live streaming on Hi Liv. We'll be live streaming on Pocatello Paranormal Facebook page, and I will maybe try to live stream to our YouTube page here. Not sure. I'm anyway, but yeah, I'm trying to fill the 4 minutes here, guys. Liv, do you want a
Well,
reading? We have no more readings. So if you want something, hey, Carrie.
yeah, I know. It's all about like the energies. Everything's like kind of settling down now, I feel like. I don't know if
Yeah.
they
retrograde's
say
over. I
April
assume.
will be better. March was craziness, and I sure hope April is better.
Yeah.
It's been
Susie's
Yeah.
TikTok
challenging.
for Virgo was spot on once again.
I know. I was watching the TikTok thing and I was like, okay, I got the point.
I try not to think about people under those
I know
those
you
signs. It
don't.
drives me nuts because I'm like, no, not Colleen. Everybody.
I know, but it was good. It was good. It was okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
This is
Mud
thi-
Lover,
this
if
is a
anything,
month of new beginnings, so keep that in mind.
okay. Liv wants a reading before we sign off.
Mm-hmm.
Just general.
You
Yeah,
got
go
anything
ahead,
going,
Celeste.
Susie? Celeste, what do you got?
I feel like there is I don't know if it's a feeling or an idea, but there's something that's been kind of stirring up lately. And if not, it's going to be coming. And it usually, when we get these ideas or we get these inspirations, it's trying to direct us to take a turn, to go a little bit left, or to do something new. And so pay attention to signs or just things that people say to you, but there's something trying to get your attention, I feel like.
Cool. Thank you. And I think probably the last one is going to be Mud Lover. If anything pops out, they'll take a reading.
You got it. You got this, Mud Lover. You are the boss. There's going to be balance coming in your life this month where things are going to settle down, where you've been feeling out of sorts and withdrawing into yourself. You're going to be okay. You're safe. You're sound. You have everything you need. Don't worry about it. This month is going to settle into the appropriate places for you.
Awesome. And Celeste, Liv said thank you, and we'll let you know if anything takes a turn. I know you're on your cell phone. It's hard to see
All right.
you can't see the chat. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got 1 minute left. I want to thank everybody for joining the live stream. Please be sure to share this with your friends so that we can get more. I mean, we're getting more and more every week, more and more people engaged. And if we start getting to the point where we have a lot of people, then maybe we go longer to answer some of these questions. And remember, to connect with Celeste and Susie, I put it all over the chat. You can go back if you did not copy their phone numbers. You can go back after. Bye, Carrie. After the show, and you can go back to our YouTube and look in the chat, and their phone numbers will be there. So this is what they do for a living, and they're very good at it. And you can get a full reading from them, and that way it's not in public. The little snippets, these are fine, but the full reading is a big deal. It's a big deal. So
We'll make you cry.
yeah. 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 All right, everybody, we're going to sign off for the night. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week. And tomorrow night, we have some bizarre topics coming at you on our other live show. We'll see you
Thank
tomorrow night
you.
at 7. Bye, everybody.
Bye.